Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond. In a time when it seems the outside world is on fire, we are glad you have made your way here to worship together. We come together here because we are a people of love and peace and compassion, but we are also seekers of justice, filled with a desire to help heal the world and one another. In this place, all those things can be accomplished and coexist. That is why we come to First UU. My name is Frank Corsaro, and I serve as one of the trustees on your board of directors. It is my privilege to welcome back our senior minister, Reverend Sherman, after his brief respite following his remarkable installation several weeks ago. The Unitarian Universalist Association was in the house. Our new president, Sophia Bentoncourt, was here, graced us with her presence, and the messaging that I heard that day will resonate throughout my memories here. If you were not able to be with us, I recommend checking it out on the YouTube channel. It might be the best 2 hours of your time that you spend this week. Finally, I hope that whatever your desires for yourself and the world, you may find them here. Find your joy, find your passions, and find your peace. Let us share our spiritual journeys as we begin our worship together.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am the Reverend Sherman Z. Logan, Jr., and I have the honor and privilege to serve in this great congregation as your senior minister. And I'm so glad to be back with you all after a few weeks of vacation. It's so good to see your smiling faces. Well, and I really appreciate you joining us for worship today. Joining me on the chancel is Fred Saltile, our worship associate, and sharing his musical talents, Elliot Norman. It is a custom here at First UU that we invite our visitors to introduce themselves. So if you are visiting with us today and as you're comfortable, please raise your hand. Jamie, the minister of the mic, will come to you. And when she arrives, please stand and tell us who you are and where you're from. Are there any visitors this morning?
Well, hey, everybody.
Hey.
My name is Cindy. I am from Alabama. We live out in Mechanicsville. So happy to be here this morning, and hi.
Welcome.
Yes, the knitter. Good morning. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, but recently moved here from Oakland, California. Nice to be with you.
Good morning.
Oh, I'm Ashley. Let's meet you, Ashley. Yeah, it's fine.
Do you want it? You want me to do it?
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay.
If I can stand up. Hi, I'm Vona Van Cleef. I'm here visiting my daughter Kate and grandyoungin Ash from close to El Paso, Texas. We lived in El Paso for 30 years and just now moved to a little town neighboring El Paso. Kate asked this is our first visit to Richmond, and Kate asked what I wanted to do while I was here, and I said, I just want to see your life, what you do. So yesterday we went for biscuits and gravy. And then we went to a couple of antique stores, and then their favorite park. And this morning I'm here.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Rhoda. I'm originally East African, but we moved from Fairfax to New Kent.
Oh, okay. Welcome.
Hi, and I'm Simon, and originally from the UK, but we've been in North Virginia for, 10 years, and now we just moved here for 2 weeks now.
Welcome.
Hello, human.
I am David Tissell, just moved here from Brooklyn, originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. It's good to be here.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Grand Rapids, I see you. I grew up in Flint, Michigan, so welcome to Richmond. Now my family and I live in Chesterfield. My name is Laura Berge-Jones, and I'm here with Reestablish Richmond today. It's my first time to visit. I don't think it's going to be my last.
Welcome.
Going once, going twice.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are so glad that you've chosen to spend at least an hour with us. I promise it won't be 2 hours. And as you're comfortable, please rise in body or in spirit, and let's greet our neighbors and welcome the visitors. Mike. I call to worship this morning of words from Katie Romano Griffin. Come, let us enter this space of hope and community. Come, let us enter this space with our sorrows, our joys, our passion, and compassion. Come, let us enter this space with stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beat in our hearts. Come into this space present to beloved companions who move beside us. Come into the space, mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into the space and let us worship. Please rise in body and in spirit, and let us sing our opening hymn, 1017, Building a New Way.
For our chalice lighting this morning, who we are called to be. Our chalice is a reminder that in hard times, our ancestors in faith acted with courage to bring hope and safety, to bring life itself to threatened people. We light it today as a reminder of who we are called to be in a world still dangerous and despairing. With courage and faith, we bring ourselves to the work before us. Okay. Our first reading for this morning, From Deep is the Hunger by Howard Thurman. I watched him for a long time. He was so busily engaged in his task that he did not notice my approach until he heard my voice. Then he raised himself erect with all the slow dignity of a man who had exhausted the cup of haste in the very dregs. He was an old man. As I discovered before our conversation was over, he was a full 81 years. Further talk between us revealed that he was planting a small grove of pecan trees. The little treelets were not more than 2.5 or 3 feet high. My curiosity was unbounded. I asked, why did you not select larger trees so as to increase the possibility of your living to see them bear at least 1 cup of nuts? He fixed his eyes directly on my face, with no particular point of focus, but with a gaze that took in the totality of my features. And finally, he said, "These smaller trees are cheaper, and I have little money." So you do not expect to live to see these trees reach sufficient maturity to bear fruit, I asked. "No," he replied, "but is that important? All my life I have eaten fruit from trees that I did not plant. Why should I not plant trees to bear fruit for those who may enjoy them long after I am gone? Besides, the man who plants because he will reap the harvest has no faith in life." Years have passed since that Sunday afternoon in LaGrange, Georgia, when those words were said. Again and again, the thought has come back to me. Besides, the man who plants because he will reap the harvest has no faith in life. The fact is that much of life is made up of reaping where we have not sown and planting where we will never reap. All of life is a planting and a harvesting. No one gathers merely the crop that they themselves have planted. We eat the fruit from trees planted by others. We must plant trees for others to enjoy the fruit.
Good morning. As I mentioned, my name is Laura Berge-Jones. I'm the Associate Director of Reestablish Richmond, and Reestablish Richmond is a local nonprofit here. We have been working for 10 years to connect newcomers, refugees, and new immigrants to the resources that are needed for long-term self-sufficiency. You know, it's really overwhelming to think about all the things that are happening in the world. I actually wrote down very nearly the exact phrase that you mentioned when you opened the service this morning. It feels like the world is on fire in a lot of places, from Palestine to Sudan to Burma, and too many more to count. And it's very overwhelming often to think about things that are happening outside of our sphere of influence. After we've done all the things that we can do from here, what else is there? And that is the reason I got involved in this work, because of feeling powerless to impact things that were happening across the world, but recognizing that when people find their way here, there are practical ways that we can support and we can impact their lives. One of the things that I've been hearing and reading about recently is the way that when countries and groups of people are first starting to oppress another group of people, the first thing that they start to do is to attack their human dignity and to diminish their human dignity. And it is also one of the hardest things to regain. On the other side of being oppressed, on the other side of being diminished and having your life destroyed. It takes a very long time to really regain a sense of your human dignity and to operate out of that sense in the world. And it is one of the things that we as an organization prioritize. It's one of our core values, the respect for human dignity and worth. And so in all of our programming, in all of our decisions as an organization, and all the ways we show up with our clients, in community, with our community partners, when we're organizing a memorandum of understanding, we are prioritizing the human dignity and worth of all of our clients. So whether folks are having to learn and adapt to an unfamiliar system, like navigating the DMV, even just learning the rules of safe driving so they can become safe drivers for themselves and their families, whether it's learning English and matching someone to a tutor to come and meet with them once a week, whether it's conducting English classes, any of the things that we're doing, human dignity and worth is at the core. And I'm so grateful for the ways that this congregation is standing in that same space and for that same value. And we're very grateful for your support this month. I think one of the things that is really exciting for us as a small local organization is to look back and recognize we've been doing this for 10 years. We are at a pivotal moment, not only in celebrating and honoring everything that we've done for this decade, but looking forward at ways that we want to sustain this work. We want to, just as we are serving people with their long-term needs, we are here, we want to be doing this for the long term. And your support for that is really vital. So I invite you to look us up online. You can talk to me afterwards too if there are other ways if you're interested in volunteering or getting involved. But just being here this morning, taking these words into your hearts and joining us in the spiritual work is also very important, and we also appreciate your financial support. Thank you so much.
Please look at the monitor for ways to give. The ushers are passing the basket. Offering will be taken and most gratefully received. Our prayer this morning are adapted words from Stephen Schick. Spirit of life, mysteries of mysteries, nameless and eternal. From the loneliness of troubled times, we come to discover that we are not alone. And to the dwelling place of togetherness, we come to collect remnants of hope. From fear that all is lost, we come to discover what will save us. And to the comfort of each other's arms, we come to feel the strength that has not yet vanished. From darkness, we come to wait until our eyes begin to see. And to the refuge of fading dreams, we come to remove illusions and focus new visions. From despair that walks alone, we come to travel together. And to the dwelling place of generations, we come to pledge allegiance to being peace and doing justice. So, Holy One, guide us in right relationship with one another. May our community know hope, joy, and resilience. May we continue to grow in our understanding, compassion, and love. Let our hearts, however full of joy or grief, know the connection of one another. May this be so. Amen. Ashe. Standing on the Shoulders by Joyce Rouse. I am standing on the shoulders of the one who came before me. I am stronger for their courage. I am wiser for their words. I am lifted by their longing for a fair and brighter future. I am grateful for their vision, for their toiling on this earth. We are standing on the shoulders of the one who came before us. They are saints, and they are humans. They are angels. They are friends. We can see beyond the struggles and the troubles and the challenge. When we know that our efforts, things will be better in the end. They lift me up higher than I could ever fly, carrying my burdens away. I imagine our world if they hadn't tried. We wouldn't be here celebrating today. I am standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me. I am honored by their passion of our dignity. I will stand a little taller. I will work a little longer. And my shoulders will be there to hold the ones who follow me. When I think of the ancestors of our Unitarian Universalist faith, the names of those whose shoulders that we stand on today comes to mind. James Luther Adams, Theodore Parker, Olympia Brown, Francis Hopper, and the Reverend Egbert Etheridge Brown, to name a few. So, beloveds, this morning I would like to reflect upon the life and legacy of Joseph Jordan, a carpenter and a preacher, a trailblazer, and a symbol of progress in our faith. And as we delve into the story of the first ordained Black Universalist minister, we find inspiration, challenges, and a powerful call to continue the work of building an inclusive and just spiritual community. Joseph Jordan's life is a testament to resilience and determination. Joseph Jordan was born free, one of 7 children in West Norfolk on the Elizabeth River in 1842. He learned to read and write, and at a young age, he began working on the river, hunting oysters aside older men. And when he was 20, he moved to Norfolk and found work. And as he established himself, Jordan started a family. He married Indiana Brown, and they would have 3 children, only one whom lived into adulthood. Starting as a common laborer, Jordan rose in the world. He operated a grocery store and then became a carpenter. He had an entrepreneurial spirit, and from his earnings as a grocer and a carpenter, he saved enough money to become what we're called today a builder or developer, erecting several homes in the Norfolk suburbs of Huntersville. Rental incomes from those homes allowed him to retire from physical labor. He was now a successful and admired man in his community and property elite. But he yearned to turn his attention to a long-time passion, religion. Jordan felt deeply about religion, and by 1880 had been ordained a Baptist minister. I'm not the only one. A few years later, a Methodist college gave him Thomas Whittemore 1840 classic, The Plain Guide to Universalism, and asked him what he thought of it. And he was thunderstruck. The book made an immediate and powerful and lasting impression on him, because Whittemore books explain that the goodness of the universe, the loving paternal guidance of the Almighty for all humanity, and the promise of salvation for all. Now, we don't know which passages particularly attract Jordan, but Whittemore make it clear that universalism was not a religion for the bigoted, but for those who could accept God's love as extending equality to all the powerless and the powerful, and the oppressed and the oppressors. But by contrast, the prevailing attitude among blacks in the 1880s as subjugation and segregation became increasingly implanted in Southern society that the white oppressors would suffer in hell. And Jordan would preach the sin of the white oppressors and how God would surely punish them by sending them to burn in hell. However, Jordan learned from his universalist teaching that everyone was a child of God, no matter who they were or what they have done. And he knew that Jesus said, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." So Joseph stopped preaching a message of vengeance and began preaching a message of respect and love. And he was ready to devour all he could find on universalism. Now, no longer able to preach the Baptist faith, he continued to practice the carpenter's trade, and at the same time, he pondered what to do. So in 1889, he went to Philadelphia, where he knew there was a significant community of Universalists, and called on Edwin C. Swixter, the minister of the Universalist Church of the Messiah, and it was a fortunate choice. You see, the Philadelphia church has a historical sympathy for blacks, and it was responsible for the first American resolution by a church body, the Unitarian Universalist Convention, calling for the abolition of slavery back in 1792. And some of the members of the large free black community had worshiped there. And furthermore, Swixter was a willing teacher and mentor. So Jordan studied under the minister for 7 months, deepening his newfound faith and mastering his theology. So with an armload of books and determination to preach the Universalist faith to anyone who would listen, he returned to Norfolk. He rented a large room at 42 Lincoln Street, converted it into a chapel, building a pulpit with his own hands. And as a well-known and respected community leader, he started a small congregation. However, his effort drew scorn and condemnation of his former Baptist colleagues and Orthodox ministers who echoed the usual charge that without the threat of hell, those marked by original sin would sink into depravity, sin, and degradation. Moreover, the promise of universal salvation meant that the oppressors of the black race, those who held them in slavery and who were creating a new Jim Crow South, would also reside ultimately in heaven. Now, the black church has long offered solace that as a people, they would cross over the River Jordan, leaving slavery and degradation behind and being rewarded for eternal life in the arms of the Lord. And at the same time, the evil oppressor would be struck down and commended to eternal damnation. It was a comforting thought for some, but it made Joseph Jordan of preaching universalism more difficult. But despite these difficulties, Jordan let the congregation thrive, and he and a congregation of 20 families formally organized themselves as a Universalist mission on June 29, 1887. Jordan was soon approached about adding schools to church services. You see, Freedman Schools of Reconstruction, which has been staffed by ID-listed, mostly Northern teachers, many of the Quakers, Unitarians, and Universalists were long gone. And in the resegregated South of emerging Jim Crow's public schools for blacks were pitifully funded with few books, woefully underpaid teachers, and students crammed into tiny, crowded facilities. And blacks often turned to private academies sponsored by local churches. So there was a need for schools for black children, and by the following fall, Jordan Rental Chapel were operating at full capacity. So his next step in this journey was to apply to be officially recognized as a Universalist preacher. He asked his mentor, Swixter, whether he could become a Universalist minister. And with Swixter's endorsement, the Universalist General Convention granted Jordan a one-year license to preach in June of 1888. This was the first step of his ordination. The following year, a Universalist ordination council of 3 ministers, including Swixter, and 4 laypersons, met with Jordan in the Church of the Messiah to examine his fitness for the Universalist ministry. The council concluded that his candidacy proved to be exceedingly satisfactory, and with unanimous recommendation, he got more than 90% of the vote. Jordan was ordained as a Universalist minister, and the next day, March 31st, 1889, at a ceremony in the Church of the Messiah. The Universalist denomination had welcomed its first black minister some 23 years before Egbert Etheridge Brown became the first Unitarian minister ordained in the United States. Reverend Joseph Jordan's groundbreaking ordination was a testament to his pioneering spirit. He broke barriers with the faith and expanded his vision and reach. He integrated the Universalist message of universal salvation, that divine love is for everyone, with the urging of earthly work, of racial and social justice. His life and ministry challenging the existing norms and broadening the spectrum of who could lead and serve our faith community. And because of Jordan, I'm here speaking to you today. So after his ordination, he returned to Norfolk with hope that the Universalist faith would spread even more widely in the black communities of the South. The Universalist General Convention quickly admitted his church into fellowship, and the Lincoln Street Church soon bore a sign proclaiming the first Universalist church of Norfolk. The rented chapel room of that congregation who worshiped in was soon so crowded that a larger space was needed. But the congregation was unable to afford a church of its own. So in 1883, Jordan addressed the General Convention held in Washington, D.C., on a need to fund a building in Norfolk. His plea was successful. Donations added up to $2,758, enough to build a church and provide some of its furnishing. The new building contained a sanctuary and a church schoolroom and was dedicated in November 1894. I would say that was a successful capital campaign. The new building was located on Princess Anne Avenue in the heart of the black community of Norfolk, and Sunday evening worship attracted up to 35 congregants, and the church was occasionally attended by white Universalists who were without a church of their own in Norfolk. And Jordan was pleased that the new building provided a well-appointed day school to meet the needs of Norfolk educationally denied black children. In his estimation, the church and education went hand in hand to help people live with dignity, purpose, and effectiveness, and empower them and their community. And in the new church building, in the new school building, he and his assistants taught a day school to 90 to 100 community children. Universalist missionary Quinlan Shen organized a chapel of Young People Christian Union in the church and envisioned great plans for the expansion of the mission to black people. However, by 1900, day school attendance had settled down to average just 50 pupils and served by a staff of 3 teachers. But the desire of education by black parents in Norfolk remained high, and despite other private and church-sponsored schools, demand consistently outstripped the opportunities. Universalism as a faith, however, was radical in its social implication and debated in local press. And as a local institution, the Universalist Church seemed to seemed to be a challenge to the established black churches. And as a national institution, it was white and segregationist. Jordan congregants tend to be among independent-minded new residents of Norfolk, people who were attracted to the city from the rural South and were more likely to move to the northern cities in search of greater opportunities. However, regular subsidies by the Universalist General Convention kept the church school open and the day school going. Nevertheless, while the day school remained strong, his congregation lost key lay people and withered. Joseph Jordan worked a long time to make his congregation thrive, and he was able to be a part of a dream of spreading Universalism when he founded a Suffolk mission as a daughter of his Norfolk congregation. However, not soon after founding the Suffolk mission, sadly, Jordan died in 1901. He was widely mourned in the black community, even by those foes and critics among the city's other clergy, and they turned out for his funeral in recognition of his excellent work. And after his death, His estate went to the Universalist General Convention, which used the proceeds to subsidize the growing Suffolk Church. Joseph Fletcher Jordan, no relation to Joseph Jordan, was the third ordained black Universalist minister who kept the Suffolk Church going. Unfortunately, without Jordan personal leadership, the Norfolk congregation began to unravel. The church closed in 1906, and the building became a pool hall. The Suffolk Church, however, continued to thrive, especially after the arrival of Joseph Fletcher Jordan. And the Suffolk Church and the day school continued until the congregation dissolved in 1984, some 40 years ago. The story of Joseph Jordan is not a tale of an exceptional life lived with courage and dedication, nor is merely a part of our Unitarian Universalist history. It is a call to action for us here and now. It is a reminder that we are called to be leaders in the struggle of justice, equity, and compassion. Jordan's example calls us to reflect on our Unitarian Universalist history and heritage and our ongoing commitment to anti-racism and racial justice. And we should remember that our shared faith journey is a living testament to the power of inclusive love, the strength of diversity, and the potential of transformation when we work together for justice. And as we honor the memory of the Reverend Joseph Jordan, let us be reminded to live out our UU principles. Let us carry on this tireless work of education and advocacy. Let us continue to challenge ourselves to break barriers, to create spaces of acceptance and understanding, and to foster a Unitarian Universalist community that truly reflect the diversity and beauty of the human family. And as we stand on the shoulders of Joseph Jordan and the other ancestors who have gone before us, may their spirit inspire us, guide us, and empower us in our shared journey of faith, justice, and liberation. May their legacy live in our action, in this congregation, and in our hearts. May this be so.
Remember, we do not walk alone, by Reverend Scott Taylor. We remember that we never walk out into the world alone. We stand on the shoulders of brave and generous ones who have gone before. We walk beside companions ready to catch us when we fall. We hold memories of dear ones in our hearts who keep us connected to our center. May we make this our most important work, to remember that we who are does not end at the edges of our own skin.
Thank you, Fred. You see these lovely items of artwork on the chancel? They could be yours if the price is right. But you have to come to Gallery on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. For those of you who don't know, Gallery is our annual art show and sales. Admission is free, but bring your credit card and checkbooks. And you may find amazing pieces of art, jewelry, and sculpture that you might want to take home with you or buy gifts for the holidays. And if you're hungry after all of that shopping, there will also be food trucks. So we hope to see you Wednesday. Doors open at 5, and the show runs through next Thursday. So please come to Gallery. And again, there you go, if the price is right. Please rise for benediction. Words from Joe Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. So go forth knowing that you are blessed and that you are to be a blessing to those that you may encounter this week. May this be so. Amen. Ashe. And let us sing our closing hymn, 288, All Our Architects.